Hey, fourth grade. So last week we started to talk about the classical period. Now, just like the Baroque period, Bach was the best example. When we talk about the classical period, Mozart's really the best example. Mozart was a little bit more dramatic in his music, a little bit more intense in his music. Although classical was very harmony down here, melody on top, Mozart really was the one that was pushing the envelope. He was well known throughout Europe and was very, very famous. But Joseph Haydn, Stamitz, and other composers also were really popular during this time. One of Bach's children, C.P.E. Bach, was also a very famous classical composer. But this classical time period was very short. It's the shortest in history because of one person, Beethoven. So, here's kind of the story of Beethoven. Beethoven was growing up and his father was a musician and he worked Beethoven extremely hard. It was almost to the point of abusive with Beethoven, of he had to learn piano, he had to learn violin, he had to learn how to compose music. And this was really, really, really ingrained in him that he had to do this. And so as a young musician, he wanted to start to learn about composition. So, the best composer in Europe at the time was Mozart. So Beethoven traveled to Vienna to meet Mozart and learn to study with him. When Beethoven got to Vienna, though, Mozart had died. So Mozart died at a relatively young age, and this was in 1792, I think, if I remember off the top of my head. So while Beethoven was there, he studied with another very famous classical composer, Joseph Haydn. So a lot of Beethoven's music is very classical in nature. It's very simple and harmony, but Beethoven had a lot of sadness, a lot of hurt in his life. He was going deaf. He was slowly not able to hear, and this led to a lot of emotional problems with him that he wrote about, so we know about today. So his music reflects that and becomes very dramatic. And Beethoven is going to be the person that shifts us to the next period of music just by himself. He was that popular. Think about this. He was that popular that just a couple pieces of music that he wrote changed what everyone else was doing. So Beethoven really is a big deal. Not just because we hear his music still today, because what he did historically. So this is going to kind of be where we close up our history stuff, because next year as fifth graders, we're going to talk about romantic music and modern music. So, this is kind of our overview of music history. And we'll be wrapping this up for the year. So I hope you enjoyed this week's part 2 of classical music, where we start to talk about Beethoven and his influence on the world. Have a good week!